One of the things that causes people to feel bad about their money is that how they spend money doesn't match with what is important to them. I'm sure you do this with your clients too. We talk about what is important to you. What do you want your life to look like? Does your spending reflect that? And how can you shift your spending so it does reflect that? So it supports what's important to you, what you want to feel like, what you want to be doing in your life. Hey there, welcome to Getting to Good Enough. I'm Shannon Wilkinson.
And I'm Janine Adams. We're here for practical and fun conversations about living with more ease and way less stress.
Yep. We're all about embracing progress over perfection. So grab a tasty beverage and let's get started. Hey, Janine.
Hey, Shannon, how are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing well, too. I'm excited to talk about money with you.
I know.
A
We talk
weird
about
sentence.
money. I know. We talk about money frequently, but we haven't talked about it on the podcast for a while.
Yeah, quite a long time. So, yay.
Right. It's sort of a funny thing to say because I think most people don't really like talking about money.
Exactly. It's not something that one has a fun conversation about very often, right?
Right.
I mean, first it's taboo, but then if you break the taboo, it's usually because you have some concern, I think.
Right. Yeah. Like you're having some struggle, you made a mistake or something that feels bad.
Right. But you and I are fortunate, and we're fortunate in many ways. And one of those ways is we both use YNAB and we both love it. And as a result, we have a
Yes.
great relationship with money. I mean, you maybe have always had a great relationship with money. You've always been better with it, I would say, than more comfortable with it than I have. But now
Oh,
I
but
have a
I've
great
made
relationship.
my fair share of big mistakes with money. And I've had a roller coaster relationship with money for sure. But I embraced YNAB. And while YNAB is the tool that you and I use and that we coach people with, it's not the only way to get comfortable with money. I just sort of want to say that from the outset. So, and I'll try to not make this YNAB centric because I want people to take away. What I'm trying to say is that the other thing that YNAB has besides being a tool is this really great philosophy that you can embrace without using the tool if you don't want to use the tool.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I can give it 100% credit for changing the way I feel about money and my relationship with it and my willingness to talk about it. The tool is awesome. The software is great, but it's that mindset, the method or the philosophy behind it, the zero-based budgeting that makes all the difference.
Yeah. And I think that is a big part of it is this idea of zero-based budgeting, which is you take the money that you have and you assign it to your needs, your current needs, your future needs. It's like an envelope system. So if you got paid in cash and then you put your cash in envelopes and you had a grocery envelope and you had a rent envelope and you had a car payment envelope and then you just spent from those envelopes. It's like that.
It's an electronic version of that.
Exactly. And so it's not the first kind of budgeting I learned. You take how much you get paid and then you take your bills and then you try to make those things match. And, and then you're always like trying to pay catch up. So, cause back in the day, unless you were doing it by hand every day, you wouldn't have all the information you needed until you got your bank statement at the end of the month. It's funny, just as an aside, I had a conversation with a client the other day about reconciling, and they were asking why the reconcile tool in YNAB works the way it does. And then I was explaining like how you used to have to reconcile your checkbook. Right. And you'd get your bank statement and you'd make it match up and all of a sudden, and they're like, oh, I never understood that. They'd never had reconciled a checkbook
Oh,
before.
well, right. There's probably actually a lot of people who are younger than us for whom that's the case.
Yeah, I'm guessing we're probably the last generation that balanced a checkbook.
Yeah, right. That's so interesting. You're right, though. Your choice was your check register, which could
Mhm.
be challenging to keep up with, although I was very good about always writing down a check when I, as part of the process of writing a check, and then your bank statement. Right. And
Yep.
now we can look many times a day at how much money we have if we care to.
Right, and transactions, there's a lot of ways to access the information. But anyway, for me, the thing that has made talking about money, taking care of my money more fun and interesting is shifting to that philosophy of give every dollar a job. I feel like I'm putting my money to work for me
So,
as opposed to like I get paid and then I have to put money out and it it feels both super personal and also removed.
well, that's interesting. Huh,
Yeah,
huh. Well, and the thing that popped into my head is it's the give every dollar a job, which is the foundation of the YNAB methodology, um, is, is great. And it's also a corollary to that is you don't give jobs to money you don't yet have.
right,
So you're not thinking ahead to your next paycheck and waiting, you're thinking, oh, I can buy this thing because I'm going to get paid in 2 weeks. If you don't have the
right.
money, you don't have the money, unless, of course, you're dealing with debt. But it is a great way to stay out of debt if you're following
Mhm.
the philosophy of it. Sure. So when you're not in debt and you know where your money is going, it's just calm. It's
Right,
makes it's just peaceful,
yeah. Or even if you have debt and you have a plan for paying it back and not increasing your debt, then
right?
that is also a much more calm experience
Yes.
than not knowing how you're gonna meet your current obligations, pay down your debt, plan for the future.
Oh, yeah,
It's a
I
lot
am
of
feeling stress in my body right now, thinking back. I mean, I can physically feel that stress from back in the day when I was dealing with trying figuring out how I was gonna pay out debt and, uh, yet still not adjusting my spending accordingly.
right.
So, yeah. So it's a
Yeah.
big 180 for me.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the other thing is that zero-based budgeting helps you recognize that your money is finite and you are making choices that may or may not reflect your values, your real needs, the things that really matter to you because you're sort of making each one in isolation, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
You're like, "Oh, this is only 20 bucks. Oh, I'm going to treat myself because this is only this much or that much." And you do that enough times and it's problematic. But
Yeah.
if you take the time to sort of look at your money and what you actually have right now and what you need to have money pay for until more money comes in, then it allows you to make different decisions.
Right.
It
Yeah, and
helps you
I
really
think
shift your thinking.
right. When I'm thinking about perfectionism and how it plays into this whole thing, it can play a role in getting any kind of tool going, like YNAB
Mhm.
or anything else, because it's not without its challenges to figure it out. But then there's also the perfectionism around being good at money or doing it the right way, doing money right, being,
Mhm.
yeah. And I imagine our upbringings play into that as well. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a lot of money stress in my house growing up, like money equaled stress.
Right.
Right.
Same.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I'm wondering, because well, I was just thinking aloud, whether our go-to getting in touch with what's important to you can play into letting go of perfectionism that can help you feel better about money or do money in a less stressful way.
Yeah, I think so I think that that can really help because one of the things that makes it difficult, that causes people to feel bad about their money, is that how they spend money doesn't match with what is important to them. And so they don't have the money to do the things that feel important because they've spent it on these other things that seemed important in the moment, or that had some emotional pull to them or something, or decisions that they've made in the past or whatever. And so they aren't funding their priorities. They're paying for their mistakes, so to speak.
Right. And that doesn't feel
And
good.
no, no. I'm sure you do this with your clients too. We talk about, like, what is important to you? What do you want your life to look like? Does your spending reflect that? And how can you shift your spending so it does reflect that? So it supports what's important to you, what you want to feel like, what you want to be doing in your life.
Yeah, and YNAB actually brought that whole philosophy, like, right front and center with the whole living spendfully
Mm-hmm.
thing, that a word that they made up about a year ago, or I guess it was more than a year ago. We were at our YNAB Fan Fest a year ago and hearing a lot about it. But yeah, the notion that your spending reflects your values and priorities, that's living spendfully. To me, that just resonated so much with me. I
Mm-hmm.
generally hate made up words, but this one I embraced from the
Yeah.
start. I hadn't really ever thought of it in relation to perfectionism, or in relation to how we talk all the time about knowing what's important to you. But boy, did they hit the nail on the head with that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, if you are living spendfully, perfectionism probably wouldn't get in the way because
Right.
you're in touch with what's important to you. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the other thing with perfectionism is that you have this really strong desire, as you brought up earlier, to do things the right way.
Hmm.
If you make a mistake, whether it's in how you're tracking things or budgeting or planning, whatever, or, you've made a purchase that you wish you wouldn't have, or you made a mistake and it cost you money in some way, which we've all done, one bounce check and a whole pile of fees later.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's horrible.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, and those things can snowball. But that, if you make any kind of mistake, then clearly you're not good at this. You can't do it. Why bother?
Yeah. Why even try?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so then you're trapped potentially living paycheck to paycheck, and the stress that can come along with that. Absolutely. It's not an all or nothing thing,
Right.
uh, money, and
Yeah.
we can make changes or plan in ways little bit at a time, which is one of the things I love about YNAB is they'll ask you to put aside 1/12 of your annual car insurance bill every
Mm-hmm.
month. So sort of painlessly, you're accumulating this money. Whereas before YNAB, when car insurance came due, I'd have to scramble to find
Yeah.
that money. Yeah. And I never remembered it or anything. And those days are gone, which I'm thrilled about every time it happens. Like,
Right.
does this happen? Well, you've been using YNAB for so long, but I will get a notification that a bill had been paid. And I think, oh no, did I budget for that? And I always
Yeah.
have, because,
Right.
it's part of the process. Yes, I get that little reward, right? It's a nice
Oh,
thing.
yeah. It's like, it's so exciting.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah, so that's one of the ways that having a tool like YNAB is really great. But you can do these things even on pen and paper. You can do it with a spreadsheet. There's a lot of different ways that you can follow this information and plan. One of the things that you mentioned about living paycheck to paycheck, and I thought this is where you were going with the, like, little, kind of the little and often idea, was that if there's something that you want and you don't currently have the money for, you can set aside a little bit of money. And, if I were setting aside or thinking in my head, like, oh, $5 a month or $5 a week or, whatever, I don't think it would ever feel like I got there. but you can watch it grow in YNAB and it makes a difference. And I've seen clients who want to break that paycheck to paycheck cycle, and it starts with just little bits of money going into paying future expenses, and then that snowballs. And then this is the weird part, it becomes fun even
Right.
to like put more money towards it. Like, oh, I don't need this thing that looks super exciting for 30 seconds on Instagram, but I can take that $50 and put it towards next month's electric bill. And that actually feels really good.
Right, because getting ahead on your bills is an amazing thing that's almost hard to imagine until you're doing it, and it is hard to
Right.
imagine that that would be fun. But yeah, you get to see that payoff, that which is actually quite amazing, isn't it? That the Instagram doodad, you come to realize is less important than getting ahead on your bills so that you don't
Mhm.
have to stress out about them.
And I think the other thing that is really helpful in thinking about your money is remembering that the amount of money you have, I mean, I think probably more people are very aware of this, but that you have a finite amount. So you're deciding where to put that. And it feels stressful thinking about that and recognizing I have a finite amount of money and it might be less than I need for my spending.
Mhm.
Um, However, I've had the exact opposite experience. Like really recognizing that and then seeing, okay, this is how much I have. This is what I need to pay before new money comes in. It relieves a certain amount of that stress.
Because the truth is the truth, whether you're aware of it or not, right? And so,
Exactly.
yeah, that knowledge, that awareness around your money when you are ready to face it and you write it all down or you put it in a spreadsheet or in YNAB or whatever. It's hard. It's hard. It
Mhm.
was hard for me. It's hard for my clients who are setting up their budgets for the first time. But it is so powerful. Oh,
Yeah.
it is so powerful, and it's the road to uh, smooth sailing.
Yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely. Because then you have the information and then you can make decisions that work for you.
yeah, decisions based on facts rather than fear.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. And it's easy to sort of look at your bank account and decide what you can spend based on that. And, maybe you're doing some mental math of like, well, I have this bill and I have that
mhm.
bill, and oh, that leaves me this amount of money left. And so I can't afford this thing, except that you probably have forgotten the taxes or the insurance payment or, those
Right.
things
Or your
that,
dog gets sick, or car breaks
right.
down. Yeah,
Yeah. So it seems so counterintuitive, especially when you're in the throes of like a really stressful financial situation. But getting that information and figuring out a simple way to pay attention to and make choices around how you're spending your money is how you relieve the stress.
yeah, absolutely. And there isn't a perfect way to do it. There isn't a perfect system. I mean, I think we all handle how we want to be aware of things differently. For
Mhm.
for me, YNAB is a great tool that helps me visualize everything, but it could be anything. It could be paper, could be notes on your phone, whatever
Yeah.
needs, whatever spreadsheets. But that awareness is everything.
Mhm. Mhm. And then taking that information and making your decisions based on that information, on the reality of your money.
Yeah. And
Um,
it can be hard, but it will get easier, or it can get easier.
yeah, I think so. Well, and, it may prompt some hard things like maybe you need to live somewhere that's less expensive. Maybe you need to sell the new car and buy a used car. Maybe you need to get a different job or ask for a raise or, whatever. But you don't know any of these things until you have that information. And not knowing them doesn't make them benign.
Right. Right. Absolutely. I mean, that's such a fact. Not knowing does not help when it comes to a
Right.
lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah. But I've been there.
Yep.
Uh,
So,
and even when I had plenty of money, I sort of was of the mindset that, oh, I'll know I have enough money when I don't have to pay attention to it.
yes. Oh, I'd forgotten about that. I used to think, oh, my goal was to be able to make purchases without thinking about whether I can afford it,
Yeah.
which that's not helpful.
No, no, because then I had plenty of money, but I was still like not paying
Where's
my
my
bills
money
on
going?
time and like
Yeah.
spending money on things that I didn't really care about. It just caused a different sort of problem.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. It's
So,
funny to think back on that.
yeah, a simple way to start is if you haven't done this recently is to just list your bank accounts, credit cards, and the balances and just know where you're at to start. Like you just said a minute ago, there's no perfect way to do it. Obviously, we love YNAB and that works great for a lot of people. Some people don't like it, but start somewhere and you can allow it to evolve. I mean, when I started with YNAB, it was an Excel spreadsheet.
That's right. You have been at it for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did not get it, but I stuck with it.
Mhm.
Just kept coming back to it.
Yeah.
Such a different way of thinking about money.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm lucky because I had you. So by the time I finally got started with it, you could help me along with
Yeah.
those questions. Yeah.
Yeah. The first step is deciding that you're going to start paying attention, I think. We would love to hear from you, our listeners. How do you feel about money? Do you feel like how you are spending money now reflects your values? You can let us know on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Getting to Good Enough. You can send an email to gettingtogoodenough@gmail.com. You can leave us a message at 413-424-GTGE. That's 4843. Until next time, this is Shannon Wilkinson in Portland, Oregon,
And Janine Adams in St. Louis, Missouri.
and we hope that good enough is getting easier for you. Thanks for joining us on Getting to Good Enough. We hope you heard something that makes your life just a little bit easier. If you did, leave us a review or share this with someone who's looking for their own version of good enough.
Thanks for listening. See you soon.
I haven't done my YNAB today, and
What?
I know, and I'm so excited.
That's insane and so true.
Yeah.